Okay, so I just want to have a look at a few different guitar slides. There's all sorts of different sizes and materials. Here's a range of some that I've got. This is by no means comprehensive and I haven't covered everything, but I'll just quickly run through what we've got here. We've got glass, and we've got this, which is a traditional bottleneck. As you can see, it's cut from a bottle. Here's another one, but it's actually had the lip cut off it. Nice and thick walled. It's the weight that is important. And here's a couple of typical, that's a Pyrex slide. You can see that's a Jim Dunlop. Here's another one, different size, but they're very light and the glass is quite different. I'll talk a little bit about them. You don't have to buy these things, you can make them. I mean, here's one cut from just a piece of copper pipe, 22mm copper pipe. That's been cut off a bicycle handlebar. That's a nice heavy, I think that's a D'Addario chromed brass. That's a lighter one in, I think that's chrome steel. That's a narrow and long piece of heavy brass. That's a 21mm socket, long socket. And then we've got ceramic here. That's a shorty one. This is a Starsinger. You can see it's quite short. Same sort of thing in a standard length. And then you've got them narrow, large. There's a couple here I'm going to talk about in a second. And also even bone. So you can make them out of, you can have them made or make them out of pretty much anything. But to my mind, there's two things which are important. One is the fit and the other is the weight. Now, if I single out a few things, the fit is a very personal thing. Here's a short slide, and I tend to put them on my little finger. Okay, if you are using your ring finger, some people prefer to just put the slide onto the knuckle, which is fine, but you might want a larger diameter if you're going to use your ring finger. As I say, I always prefer to put the slide right the way down on my finger. Other people just put it to the knuckle. But that's, you see, that's too big. It's too sloppy. So that's about a right fit for me. One of these medium Starsingers. That's not gonna fall off. And as you actually hold it and bend your finger, it tends to lock it on. I think we've got another, that's bone. Again, that's a nice snug fit for me. So yeah, the fit is important. It's a very personal thing. Now, here's a few things that I would say to avoid. This sort of thing, which is very light and very thin, and also stuff like this, the copper, it's so light and soft, it's not really going to do the job. You need something with a bit of weight, because if you think about it, this is acting instead of a fret. It's a fret, you know, it slides up and down the neck, so it needs some weight to sort of counteract and to stop the string vibrating where you put it on. That one's a little heavy for me. I find a lot of steel slides are too heavy. This is crazy heavy. These are fine for using, say, as a lap steel bar, but to put one of those on your fingers, it's just going to get pulled around by the weight of it, in my view. I do love a glass slide, a properly made slide from a wine bottle, nicely rounded off, a nice fit. If the slide's a little bit big, you can just wrap a piece of paper around your finger, or what some people do is stick a piece of the one-sided Velcro inside it to cushion it. But as I say, these very, very light slides really aren't going to do your playing much good. You can see it's really the thickness of the wall, very, very thin. And this, these Pyrex ones, it's a borosilicate glass, and it feels weirdly plasticky. It is glass, but it's a different composition from the traditional sort of soda lime glass that bottles are made of. These are more and more difficult to find because the thickness of the wall is dictated by the need to bang a cork into there to seal a wine bottle. With the advent of the screw top bottle, the walls don't need to be so thick, so they're not so very good for making slides out of. Neither are beer bottles. They're too thin, and they're really usually too big and tapered, so it's difficult finding the right thing. I found that a good ceramic slide like these, the Starsingers, which are my favourite ones, is a really good alternative to glass. It's that little bit lighter than the equivalent thing in a brass or steel, and I can get a nice fit. They're very nicely made. It's super smooth, really hard. Now here's a couple of like sort of Chamber of Horrors sort of thing. Well, they're not, but if you look at this, you can see the surface is very rippled. It's not great to play with. It's all about the feel, and that ripple, I really don't like that. And then here's another thing of what can go wrong. The thing's bananaed in the kiln, so I don't use those. This is a bit weird. I've heard people about using bone, and I was very cynical, but I've tried it, and you can see this is highly, highly polished. I don't know how they'll stand up in the long term to the abrasion of the strings, but they're quite a nice weight, not that different to a ceramic, and they've got a nice grippy inside. So if you're looking for something a bit different, try one of those. So that's by no means a comprehensive range of slides. One of the glass ones I haven't got here as the medicine bottle, the pill bottle, as it coinciding ones. I don't really get on with them. I feel that they feel a bit light, and they're with a closed end, just doesn't suit me. So really my favourites, I've got to say, is the traditional glass one, and we stock these when we can get them from Diamond Bottlenecks. And the other one, which I really like, are the Starsinger ceramics. I don't think you can go wrong with either of those. If you want something a little bit lighter, you may be going for something like that. That's a chrome steel. If you want something heavier, you're onto something like that, a thick-walled chromed brass. So if you want something a bit different, there's bone as well. So that's my preferences. So in conclusion, about the various factors, the fit is really important, and a lot of people will try loads and loads of different slides until they get one that suits them, that fits them. So as I say, I tend to use my little finger, because then that leaves my other fingers, whether I'm playing 6-string or 3-string or 4-string, it leaves these others free to do bars and play bass figures and do other partial chords. I find if you wear the slide on your ring finger, you're limited to these 2 fingers, and you tend to put a bar across the fretboard with this finger, only leaves that one free, and then your little finger is that much more difficult to manipulate for doing bass runs and that. It may feel a bit weak to start it on with the slide on your little finger, but I'd say give it a go. I started playing slide guitar with the slide on my ring finger, and sort of transitioned to using it on my little finger. So there we go. As regards tone, I'm not going to say, because it's such a personal thing, and I don't think my hearing is good enough to tell the difference in the tones between whether it's glass or steel or brass or bone or ceramic. I think too many years of playing in loud bands has really probably taken the edge off my hearing. So I'll leave that to you. Again, it's a very personal thing.